All right, let's dive into a real head scratcher happening in the commodities market. We're talking about turdal, a staple food in millions of homes. But right now, something is going on with its price that just seems to defy all logic. Let's get into it.
So here's the big puzzle we need to unpack. On one hand, we're seeing all these reports about crop damage in key growing areas. Now, Basic Economics 101 tells us that if supply is threatened, prices should go up, right? But with turdal, the exact opposite is happening. So what on earth is going on?
Okay, so let's try and solve this thing. The first step is just to understand these completely contradictory signals. You've got these really concerning reports of crop losses coming out of major states like Maharashtra and Karnataka, and yet the market just doesn't seem to care. I mean, the logic is super simple. Less crop should equal higher prices, but the market is not following that script. The buyers, the very people who should be getting nervous about a future shortage, they've gone totally silent. That is the real mystery here, and the answer is this classic economic tug of war. So what could possibly be powerful enough to make everyone ignore the warnings of a bad harvest? Well, that brings us to the biggest piece of this puzzle, a massive, and I mean massive, supply flood. It turns out any worry about the future crop is being completely drowned out by the sheer volume of turdal that's hitting the market right now. And if you want to understand the scale of this flood, just look at this number. In just the first 25 days of September, the amount of turdal arriving in markets across the country is up by over 185% compared to the same time last year. Let that sink in for a second. That's not just an increase, it's a tidal wave. And here are the raw numbers behind that crazy percentage. Last year, we saw just under 19,000 metric tons arrive. This year, over 54,000. So yeah, the market is literally swimming in turdal. But this pressure isn't just coming from inside the country. And this isn't just a domestic issue, not by a long shot. On top of that local flood, international prices are falling. There are more shipments on their way from Africa, and buyers have plenty of cheaper substitutes they can turn to. It is the perfect storm of supply-side pressure. So to really get the international side of things, we got to talk about something called CNF quotes. It just stands for cost and freight, and it's basically the all-in price to buy term from another country, say Burma, and get it landed at an Indian port. All you need to know is this. When CNF quotes go down, imports get cheaper, and that just adds even more supply to the pile. And guess what's happening right now? You got it. The CNF quote for tur coming from Burma has just dropped by $20 a metric ton. That single move makes importing even more attractive, and it puts yet more downward pressure on the prices here at home.
And you can see the results of all this pressure playing out across the country. In key markets like Gulbarga and Indore, prices are just stuck, totally flat. In Latur, they've actually gone down. This supply glut is just weighing everything down.
Now, at this point, you're probably thinking, okay, I get it. There's a lot of supply now. But what about the next crop? Surely farmers are worried, so they must be planting less. And won't that eventually make prices spike? It's a really good question, but the data tells a different story.
Believe it or not, the data shows that the total area where farmers are planting turk this year is down by just 0.5%. That's basically nothing. It's essentially unchanged. So any hope that a big drop in planting would come to the rescue and push prices up, that's pretty much off the table.
So we've got it. There is a mountain of supply. But, that's only half the story in any market. For prices to fall this hard, something's got to be going on with the other side of the equation. So, where's the demand? Well, as it turns out, the buyers are just sitting on the sidelines.
And this part is really fascinating. Even things that would normally get buyers excited aren't working. Those reports of crop loss, the market is just shrugging them off. All the chatter about new import duties on cheaper substitutes, still nothing. It's like the entire demand side of the market is just completely asleep at the wheel. Okay, so let's put all the pieces together. We have a mountain of supply on one side and a deep valley of weak demand on the other. When you combine those two powerful forces, the market delivers a very, very clear verdict. So here's why prices are expected to stay weak, broken down into 4 simple steps. 1, that overwhelming domestic supply flood we talked about. 2, relentless pressure from cheaper imports. 3, incredibly weak demand from buyers here at home. And 4, the fact that there are cheaper substitutes available, which puts a cap on any potential price rise. It's the perfect recipe for price weakness. And you don't have to take my word for it. This quote from the market analysis report just nails it. With ample supply in the market and limited active demand, prices are vulnerable to further declines. That's it. That's the verdict. The paradox, it isn't really a paradox at all. It's just a simple case of what's happening right now being way more powerful than fears about the future.
So, we've solved the puzzle for today, but this whole situation leaves us with one final and really crucial question to think about. The market is flooded now, but what happens down the line when all this massive supply finally gets used up? Especially if those early reports about crop damage actually turn out to be true. Well, that's going to be the next chapter in this story.